How's it going, everyone? You're watching Save My Rig, episode number 2, the show dedicated to giving you tips, tricks, and feedback on your personal computers. My name is Branto75, and you can follow me on Twitter at Branto75.
And I'm his friend that is being forced to do this against his own will, Spencer.
Again, forcing him every time.
He had a gun to my head. He held my cat hostage. Okay.
All right, so first things that we need to talk about, we need to clear up some things about the last episode. First off, that episode was just a pilot episode. It was just testing out to see if we really even liked doing the show, how we'd flow, how it would go, and we just were testing out. So everything was really roughly done. Second, we are not trying to rip off Pimp My Setup. That was not our goal. I've had the idea to do a show on this topic for a couple months now, and when I discovered Pimp My Setup, I was really inspired by the quality and the professionalism of his show, and I wanted to do something to emulate that. And so if it looks like that we're copying, we're really not trying to. As every new channel kind of starts off, you kind of really have to get your inspiration from somewhere, and eventually you branch off and you kind of discover exactly what works for you. But if anything in the future, just remember that we're still human. We make mistakes. So if anything just resembles Pimp My Setup, just go ahead and let us know, and we'll work on getting that, putting in a different spin on it.
Yeah, we do apologize for if we seem to act like Pimp My Setup.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and let Spencer go into the next one.
Oh, yes, the Velcro issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so many of you probably thought that what we were wanting to do with one of the builds was to hang or suspend a Velcro hard drive using Velcro in the 5 1/4 inch bay, which is not at all what we're trying to say. So for any confusion, I do apologize. What we're trying to say is that we're to use your 5 1/4 inch bay as a placeholder for your hard drive at the bottom of it, and use Velcro to secure it in place.
Yeah, because
what I'm trying to mention is using Velcro sticky pads that you can buy at any convenience store that has like a sticky bottom and a Velcro top, and they come in little packages, and you put them at the bottom of your hard drive and at the bottom of the 5 1/4 inch bay. You put that in there. It sticks well. It stays in place. Doesn't move around. You're good to go.
Yeah, and the Velcro also serves as a vibration absorber, so that way all the vibration is not going straight to your case.
Right. So, and if you clean your case or try to do any upgrades to it, and you move your case around or about, like kind of what I do, take out your hard drive, because it is it's not meant to, your computer is not meant to go back and forth and be tossed around as if you're trying to put water into a water cooling loop.
And last thing you want to do is damage your hard drives and lose all your files. Yeah, and we're not wanting you guys to do that at all in any way, shape, or form. So clear it up. Hard drives in the bottom of the 5 1/4 inch bay if you have a free spot.
Right.
Do not try to suspend it. Don't do that. You will break something. I guarantee it, because Velcro, when suspended like upside down or on the side, will eventually wear out. It's just kind of like, unless you buy industrial Velcro, that's just kind of how it's going to go.
Right.
All right. So, announcements. We have set up a Facebook page called Save My Rig. There is links down into the description box that you can go and join at your own leisure. And second, all the builds that are in this video will be linked down in the description box below, so you can get more photos, zoom in on them, look at them how you feel, look at all the parts, read the descriptions, read the comments, leave the guy feedback, do whatever you want to do. All of that information is down in the description box below. And yeah, so let's get right into this first setup. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So the first two setups in this in the episode are 2 rigs that we picked out from PC Part Picker, and the last one is a user submitted one. Because he was the very first one, we wanted to give him the last one, the last standing impression, because he was the very first user submitted one. After one episode, only one episode was recorded, and we got our first user submission, which was pretty cool.
Kudos to him.
Oh yeah, and thank you to everybody who has watched the first episode. We are about 128 views strong, and I hope to see those numbers go up as more people discover the show, and if they enjoy it, then they enjoy it. All right, so let's start talking about this first setup. This first setup is by Miles Rar.
Before we continue on, we also want to suggest that if you want, please do submit your builds. We want to review them. We want to look at them. We want to look at the community. That's what this is about. Give you tips, tricks, and feedback on your build, what you can do to improve. If it's good already, hey, you get to show off your build for free. That's awesome. So submit your builds if you'd like. We'd love for you to submit your builds.
It actually makes our job just a bit easier when we don't have to go scavenge through PC Part Picker and try to find something that we can talk about. If you guys submit it, we will talk about it. And we'll give you guys feedback. Maybe your builds are so good that you don't really need the tips, so we'll give you the feedback, and that's pretty much it. All right, so first one submitted, not submitted. Correction.
Submitted.
We found by the username of Miles Rar on PC Part Picker. Now, first thing I have to say about this is I am very impressed by the parts that he picked out.
Yes, he picked out very good quality parts.
I'm not the biggest fan of the case, but I have to say, for the case that he had, it looks like he did, almost the best he could do with this case. I do have a few ways that you can improve this and make it look a lot better. But all around, I have to say that you did a very good job with this build, with the parts you had, and the situation that you were working with. And I think you did a very good job.
Yeah, I agree. It's very easy to look at. There are some builds that are very, very difficult to look at. It's just kind of like, oh god, jeez, why are you even building? And we're glad to see that there are some people who actually do care about cable management, who do care about looks, even if it's just a closed system with no window. We like that you care.
Yeah,
okay? That's a really one-ups our reputation.
All right, so the first thing let's talk about and just get it out of the way is the cable management. Though the cable management is good, it could be better.
Yes, it could.
Honestly, the best way to route all your power cables is, because I see you have a modular power supply, which is really nice, but the best way to route these cables in the beginning is to just take them all and slip them straight through the back of the cutout to bring the power cables into the back of the case, and that way you can work with one cable at a time. And also remember, guys, zip ties, Velcro straps, twist. Don't use twist ties unless they're all plastic, because you don't want the plastic waving away, and then you don't want metal touching your motherboard in any way, shape, or form. Avoid twist ties. Don't use them unless they're legitimately all plastic, which is hard to find because not all twist ties are plastic. So route all the cables through the back, and then bring them back in through the designated cutouts on the motherboard, that the cutouts on the case that the manufacturer has given you. Go.
Use those holes to your advantage. They're there for a reason. There are builds on here that we've seen that don't even care. They just kind of like put stuff and go, and we don't want to see that. We want to see some cleverness. There's really good cleverness. One of the things that I want to point out is, from the looks of it, I don't know if the user is, or the submitter or builder of this system, it has it on the carpet or on a desk. In the final picture, he has it on a desk. I would recommend that you turn the power supply upside down so that the air comes up from underneath the case.
Yeah, if you have a if you have your PC mount set on carpet, which by the way is a very bad idea, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Stick some books or something elevated off the carpet if you can.
I use the styrofoam from my PC case the styrofoam that came from my PC case that wow, okay.
England is hard.
I know. I'm not very good at English. I'm a natural.
Yeah, but
I just use the styrofoam and put it on top.
Yeah,
and
so if you have to,
very rigid and very strong.
Yeah, so if you have to have your PC on the carpet, like there is just no other way of doing it, elevate it some way, get it off the carpet. Your PC needs to breathe, and like Spencer was saying, turn your power supply upside down. You want your power supply to be taking in fresh air from the outside versus the warmer air on the inside. Power supplies don't really have a thing, especially not Corsair power supplies. They don't really have a thing about overheating. But I still say that fresh cool air is better than stagnant warm air.
I agree. Plus, you also don't want your PSU to be fighting air with your graphics card, especially if you have an SLI where it's really close to the fan, because then they're just fighting air and it's not getting enough air. So that's one of the good reasons why to keep it upside down. Also, if you have power supplies that have like a hybrid mode where the fan turns off unless a certain load will kick in the fan, it will also keep the dust out.
True.
If you think about it, you won't have any dust going into your PC or PSU, so you won't have to worry about that. So that's one thing.
All right.
Plus,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Plus, flipping your PSU will also put your main cables, because this is a semi-modular power supply, closer to the cutout right there, so you can get rid of those cables a little easier and
And if reaching the CPU power is a problem in the current configuration, then flipping it around kind of gives you just an extra couple inches to work with, which may make all the difference. Next thing I want to talk about is the hard drives. I'm not sure if this is the only way you can mount the hard drives in the current configuration, like if this is the only way you can do it, but if you can flip the hard drive around, so that way the cables and stuff are now closer to the front of your case versus, into the 100% visible, I'm going to call it the cockpit of the case, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, because if you want the system to look clean, cables is the one way of, managing those cables is the one way of just, making your system look almost perfect without having to do anything extravagant to it. So if that is an option to you, to flip the hard drives around and have the cables coming out towards the front of the case and then to the back of this case, don't bring them back around. You want them to come back through the designated cutouts. So if your hard drive is flipped around towards the fans, bring those cables back in through the power supply cutout. You don't want just cables wrapping around each other all the time and getting in the way and having all excess cable showing that doesn't need to be showing, that had no reason to be showing. That's pretty much all I can really say about the hard drives. And another little nitpick I can say is the rainbow colors on the PSU isn't really attractive. They sell sleeved cable extensions that you can buy for about $6 off Newegg or Amazon, and they give your PC just that much more cleaner stealth look that a lot of people like, and that will make your system clean up very nicely. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot to say. Again, he's got a drive in the 5.25-inch bay, which I know I could say this all day, but do people still use those?
Surprisingly, they do. I don't really see one. Do you? Wait, where is one?
Yeah, you can see the SATA data cables coming, plugging into it. Is that an optical drive? I see. I wish he had more pictures because I can't see. I
There's one
can't
of the
see the
parts
front of the
that's-
system.
Yeah. With the looks of it, it looks like there's no optical drive because I guess it's so small or it's so packed in. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's
Very
a card
difficult to
reader or
look at.
something.
Uh,
Could be a card reader.
it's in the parts list, so
Yeah.
I assume I assume he's using one.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to give this system, in its current state, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Just because I love the parts. I believe he used the case to the best of his advantage, at least the way that he knew how to use it. Yeah, I think it's an all-around solid build. It's clean enough to where if you wanted to show somebody the inside, it looks nice enough. But again, just flipping around those hard drives, cleaning up the cables a little bit, I think will definitely go a long way for you.
One question is, do you think he needs a second CPU cooler? I mean, he could just use it as an exhaust right on the back, but I know that in the description that this case has had a lot of noise, and that could be because of the fans, because these fans don't have rubber mounts. And if you put that on the case, it's just going to make it worse. So
Yeah.
I can understand why you have it on there, but, you know, plus we're also going to recommend a case because we know this case wasn't the greatest case that you picked out.
Yeah. I believe Linus did a review on this case, and it got a terrible review.
Yeah.
Because, like, just looking at it, it's an ugly case. At least from the inside, it is an ugly case. The hard drive mounting is stupid. Who does that? Who makes it to where you mount the hard drives on the side like that, to where you can see
I
everything
can
all
understand
exposed?
airflow, especially if you have a window. I can understand it because you can also mount it on the outside, but I really don't think I would want to show my hard drives. I'd probably show off my SSDs, but
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yep.
Let's
And
go back to the traditional way of doing it.
Yeah, and as he said that the system is noisy. Another cheap and expensive way is just replacing the fans. Get some of the either like the Corsair Silent series. I think or the Noctua fans. Those ones are pretty good. Those
are highly recommended.
I'm gonna die. Yeah, those are highly reviewed fans. All of my fans in my case are Corsair Silent Series fans, and it's pretty quiet. Yeah, so replace the fan. Oh my god, I just noticed something. He doesn't have a rear exhaust.
He's probably using that fan as a rear exhaust.
Yeah, but
as best as he can, because like I said, if he puts that fan on the case, it's just going to cause more vibration.
Yes. But unfortunately, the fan that's pointed towards the back of the case is pulling air through the CPU heatsink, which you're more or less now just pushing hot air out of the case of the CPU. You're not really moving any of the graphics card heat, the power supply heat, the hard drive heat. Even though it's not a lot, there's still some there, and of course the heat of the CPU. I think if you can't buy anything extra, remove one of the fans off the CPU heatsink and put it in the back of the case, because you really want something exhausting heat out of that case. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to say. If I'm going to recommend a case to you, I definitely recommend the Corsair 200R or the Cooler Master. God damn it, I forgot the model number, but it's like the Cooler Master Silencio, something like that. It's like a $40-$50 case. But definitely the 200R, that is a great case, and it'll clean up everything perfectly, and just replace those fans in the front, and you will lose a lot of vibration. That is my final verdict.
Yeah, I'd pretty much say the same thing.
All right, so
same.
3.5 stars in its current state. Yep. All right. So let's move on to rig number 2, which we found by James the Cran on PC Part Picker. Remember, all the links for these builds are in the description box below. I think I'm going to start off with this. I think the cables, and I know it almost feels like we're just kind of repeating the same thing over and over, but I feel these cables, you can tell he tried. Like, he's got zip ties around the power supply at the very end, and he's feeding all of them through the back of the case. And I even like how he's utilizing the hard drive cage as like a cable storage.
Yeah, I actually like that. By the way, if any of you have, like, oh, where do I put these cables at? You can put it on their hard drive cages. I mean, some of us I've done that with my build the first time before I redid the cable management in my system, and it hides the cables very, very well. Since sometimes and most of the time that all the hard drive cages are not occupied, occupy them with your cables. I mean, it's just a great way to make your system look a lot better, especially with non-modular power supplies, of course.
And for the previous person, this is the 200R, so you can get a look at how it's used. This person didn't use it, I want to say, to the best of their advantage, but it's not terrible. I think one thing I would definitely say is rotate the heatsink on the CPU.
Absolutely. That's one of my pet peeves right there. First off, you got a lot of air moving around in that case, and right now you're fighting air of pushing and pulling on the top of the case, as well as more pulling on the side for exhaust, because you have the 2 fans at the top for exhaust, and at least they look like they're exhaust. No,
they're pulling air into the case.
Yes, they're actually pulling air into. Okay,
that's kind of strange.
That is interesting. Usually, that's pretty rare. I've seen that before, but it's pretty rare where people use it as intake. So the system has a lot of positive pressure.
Yeah.
So
I would say also flip those fans around, because you have fans coming in from the front. You more than likely have 2 fans, because I saw one. There are 2 fans there. Yeah, you have 2 fans coming in from the front, and now you have 2 fans coming in from the back, and now the only way to get rid of all of that is 1 fan in the back. Which, like Spencer said, you're building up a lot of positive pressure. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because your PC is still getting fresh air, but now you're making it harder on yourself to move that hot stagnant air out, because now you have hot air and cold air mixing in, and now you're making it harder for the hot air to come out. And also heat rises, so if you flip the fans around, not only are you getting like an aesthetical benefit, because those blue rings would look really nice with the blue RAM, the blue motherboard, pretty much blue almost everything except for the SATA cables and the power supply. I feel like if you flip those around, you get a aesthetical benefit, and you'll get a temperature benefit.
Right. If you're really thinking that pulling in air from the top of the case onto a fan that's constantly pulling air onto the CPU heatsink to make it cooler, it's not. It just doesn't do that. Adding more fans to a heatsink does not make your CPU cooler.
Yeah, it's how the air is moving through.
It's really all about the air moving, and it's also going to stay at whatever the constant temperature is. So if you're thinking that it's going to make it cooler by pushing more air onto the heatsink, well, I'm sorry to say it, but you're wrong.
Yeah,
it doesn't make it any cooler. So really, you do need to flip it other way, or I guess you could leave it. You would be putting more dust onto your graphics card. Just saying. Unless if you can't clean it a lot, I guess it wouldn't matter. But again, for aesthetics, it's also better just to have it vertical and pushing towards the exhaust fan and exhausting all that hot air out, because that's what you want.
Yeah.
Also, pushing hot air onto the graphics card, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that heatsink gets hot, and that's the point of the fans on the heatsink is to push and pull hot air away from the heatsink in order to make the CPU cool. So you don't want hot air being put more onto your graphics card because, you know, if you're gaming, which I do believe, yes, you're using this to game.
How funny would it be if he has the heatsink set up in a pull configuration?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could.
I sure hope that's not what's going on here because now from the top fan you have air pushing directly down to the heatsink. Now, what if he just had air blowing straight up?
Well, then that's kind of...
You're really doing nothing because now you're just sandwiching the air.
Yeah, that's kind of...
It's going out and then dispersing out, and it's really doing nothing.
I've also come to realize that his RAM is in the wrong slot.
Oh, yeah, he's got
Never
him in...
put your RAM next to each other if you're going with the dual channel.
Yeah.
Always refer to your motherboard. Sometimes it's in the first A1 and B1 slot or the A2 and B2 slot. A1 being the far left and B2 being the far right.
Yeah.
So you always want to refer to your motherboard as to which RAM slots you want to put them in, especially if it's dual channel. So I don't know if it's just the black slots only or just the blue slots only. I just know your RAM is not being used to its full potential because it's right next to each other. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, because they're running in separate channels. The color coordination of the board, the colors tell you which channels is running in which ones. So the blue ones is one channel and the black ones are in another channel. Though the increase of performance isn't really all that significant, you're just boosting your potential of your system by having your RAM in a single channel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so definitely rotate your heatsink around and move that one RAM stick over one slot so it will be in a single channel. Even if it is channel 2, not the fastest channel, but it's going to be better than running in two separate channels.
Absolutely. In terms of cable management, there's really not much to say. This case has been put to its full potential because, one, you have a slim... I forgot what the name of it. I just call it a slim ATX because it's slim. I mean, you have one.
Yeah, I have one of those.
And when it's slim, it opens up a lot more exposure to the cable management holes, which kind of makes it a little uglier. No offense in any way, but
I wish for the power cable he wouldn't have had it sticking out the front so much. Like if he takes some of that excess slack and just pushes it back into the system. That would clear up some cable clutter.
Yeah, the one thing I'd like to see is probably tighten that motherboard cable. Yeah. It sticks out so much. I mean, if you can't, I guess it's fine. It doesn't really hurt anything. It just looks better if you try to pull it in and tug it in as much as you can without trying to bend the connector itself.
And the PCI Express connectors, you can't really do a whole lot about. That's just how the graphics card was designed.
That's one of the poor designs from AMD with their low-end graphics cards or mid-range. They didn't put it where it's on the outside of the graphics card. Instead, they put it on the inside, which is just not a very good place to put it.
Yeah, and I would recommend, like, if it all becomes an option to you, get a modular power supply. Antec makes some excellent modular power supplies along with Cooler Master and Corsair and
Fractal and Silverstone. Yeah, Fractal makes some.
Oh yeah, XFX. Everybody makes a good modular power supply that gives you nice, clean, sufficient power.
Yeah,
I think a modular power supply would have done this system a whole lot of good because now you really wouldn't have had so many cables tucked away into the hard drive cage being exposed like how they are. What is that, like that little bracket in front of the fan? You see it? Oh, I think that was the SSD mount that goes in this case that you can buy.
That's the SSD mount. Yeah, I don't like that, but that's with the case. There's nothing you can do about that. I don't think it's removable from the looks of it. It might be, but I don't think it is.
And again, with the optical drive, there's clearly an optical drive there. If you need it, you need it. But if you find yourself not using it, go ahead and just take it out or get an external one, because now you can use those hard drive the optical drive bays for something else, card readers, whatever, or hard drive mount. There you go. Though with how exposed this one is, seeing how far the 5 1/4 inch base sticks out, I think this will be the one situation where I don't recommend they use that at all and just keep it in the hard drive bay, just because it sticks out so much and you would have pretty much the exact same cable sticking out.
Yeah, if you have a 5 1/4 inch bay that's nice and long and doesn't have so much exposure, don't put your hard drive in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
yeah, so if you can remove your optical drive, remove it, get an external, something that clears up 2 extra cables in the system that you need to use, and all around it makes it look cleaner. And potentially a modular power supply. Rotate the heatsink. I'm gonna have to give this one a 4 out of 5, because I think this system is very nice. I do like the parts. Because I have one, I'm not a fan of the slimline ATX boards at all.
Yeah,
they show way too much. You're not getting enough coverage. It's just it kind of makes it worse. And unfortunate for you, your CPU power is in the non-standard spot. So using the cutout at the top wouldn't have even been helpful to you at all.
Great design features.
Yeah, good job, Corsair. But I still recommend this case. Good job, ASRock. Oh, it's an ASRock board. No fucking wonder.
Yeah, it's an ASRock board.
Never mind. I have a fucking ASRock board.
I don't. I have an Asus.
Yeah, he has the Griffin. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Do some tidying up. Those fan cables, you can easily just like use a zip tie. Just kind of bundle them up a little bit, and then use a zip tie to hold them down, so you have less slack and you're not touching the graphics card. Even though it's rubber and doesn't make a difference, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Other than that, I really like how he's got the bottom SATA cables very nicely managed. Same with the USB 3 connector as well. That looks like the audio cable coming out of the bottom.
I think it is. I don't know. I haven't reviewed this board that much. ASRock is typically the low line.
Yeah.
I really don't mean offense, because they make very good boards, very good aesthetic boards, especially with the Z97 boards. As they added a black PCB rather than brown, like yours.
Yeah, finally. God, I hate brown PCB.
Yeah,
Why do people do that?
If you guys pick out a motherboard, please pick out one with the black PCB. Brown just looks terribly ugly.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it does. Don't get green, don't get red, don't get blue, get black. Black is the way to go.
Kudos to him for finding a black ASRock board.
Yes.
Granted, you got an ASRock board. I wish you would have either gotten a Gigabyte or an Asus, but it's already done, and I don't see you replacing the motherboard anytime soon.
Yeah, the motherboard's not bad, but the only problem with the motherboard really is just its ports are odd. You have like that fan port right next to the Molex, right above the ASRock logo.
Yeah,
like why are you still doing this, ASRock? Please.
Yeah,
and the CPU power
are along the edges of the board,
whatever.
Because this is a Z97 board, and they're still making these fucking mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's all I really have to say. I gave it 4 stars out of 5, and you want to move on to the next rig?
Yes, we'll move on to
one.
User submitted rig.
All right, yes, this was our very first user submitted rig, and so he's getting the final spot. And his system overall is actually very nice. And so let's get right into it. So this is by Pain Within. He's actually a follower of mine on Twitter, surprisingly enough. I believe he's a Kingdom Hearts speedrunner. I have to say, this is a system that is doing it right. Yes, he has some more expensive parts in this case. Not by a whole lot, other than the obvious SLI.
I see a dog.
SLI graphics card. You see my dog?
Yeah, no, I see the dog in the picture, in the last picture. Yeah, your camera's not even on.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't really have anything too much negative to say about it. I mean, of course, I have a couple nitpicks here and there. But I'm gonna say that this is a very, very solid build, done very nicely. I will say, I think you should take your H60 out of that push-pull configuration. The H60 is such a thin radiator, and it has a low fin density, so you're passing pretty much the perfect amount of air with a single fan. And you would reduce some noise. You would reduce the amount of space that that fan takes up of the viewing angles, and I think that would clean it up a bit if you just removed one of the fans off that radiator.
Yeah. To really bust the myth on push-pull doesn't make your system any cooler. It works the same way as heat sinks. If it's just going to be the same temperature as whatever the constant is. So if adding more fans to something is not going to make it cooler. It's not going to decrease it to like sufficient temperatures that would make your overclock even better. So what Brandon really said is just you don't really need push-pull. It's kind of unnecessary, and it adds more fan noise and vibration if you don't have any of those anti-vibration mounts on the fans itself. These look like the stock fans, especially the back one. I believe that's the stock fan that came with the case, if I do reckon.
Oops.
It might be, I don't know. I think it is because it's square. It doesn't really have any design to it. But
yeah. I would definitely recommend switching out the fans. If I know with stock Corsair fans, they are definitely loud. I used to have them in my system for a very long time, and they were very loud fans. Even for 4-pin fans under on a low voltage, they were just very noisy fans. Again, if you can upgrade to the Cooler Master Silent fans or the Noctuas or the Corsair Silent series, I would definitely do that. Hell, if you can replace all the fans in your system, do that. Corsair also makes LED fans in the Silent series. They don't have any of the rubber padding. Oh shit! They don't have any of the rubber padding to reduce vibration as much, but since they all around run quieter, your system will all around run quieter. Mm-hmm. Does he have those top fans in the same configuration as the previous guy, where he's got them blowing into the case?
No, they're exhaust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see the sticker on there. Yeah, I had to switch views for a second.
You could put 140s in there if you wanted to, but really, honestly, unless if you had a lot of heat going in, I really wouldn't either recommend nor care of putting fans as exhaust. It evens out the pressure in the case, but I have top fans in my case, but I'm going to take them out soon because, one, I don't need them. I don't have a whole lot of heat going on, and two, it just gets rid of some extra fan noise. So if you get a lot of wind noise and you're like, oh, I don't really need these, just take out the top ones. You don't really need them.
Yeah, the only reason I have 2 top fans in my case is because I have a 240 millimeter radiator. Mm-hmm. And it needs the 2 fans. Other than that, I can just nitpick. You have an optical drive. I'm guessing that's going to be a thing with these. You have an optical drive. I understand that you needed some way to install the operating system, but get an external one. They're just slightly more expensive, just ever so slightly, and you can take them off your desk if you don't need it. You can pull it out when you need it, and you're freeing up cable management. And with the 300R, I just feel that the case all around aesthetic from the outside is reduced with the optical drive. Not in the same way that the Obsidian series has that problem, Because boy, is that a problem. But optical drive, man, get rid of it. You don't need it. It clears up some cables out of your system. You don't need it. Get rid of it. Yeah.
It uses a very good processor, the i7-2600K. You know, that may be an old school processor, but that's still one of the best processors. That and the i5-2500K.
Yeah, the
like
2500K, that was a great processor.
They may be second gen, but they are one of the best processors. So if you can find it especially for a good deal, you do have to find a
compatible motherboard, of course.
The Z77 motherboard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you could just
I believe 2500K, that was Z67. Yeah, because the 35 series is 77, because that's what I got. Man, finding a Z67 board. Okay, don't go with a 2500K, because you're probably going to be spending
Z77 because it's in the parts list.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they were the same socket. They were the same 1155 socket.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then last thing I really can say is I believe that, again, sleeved cables would really do this system justice.
Yeah, if you have extra money, sleeve cables.
I really like how he's using the that back cutout. See off to the right-hand side where the power supply cable is coming out of, the rainbow-colored one?
Oh, yeah.
And you see how the cutout for the case is up really high, and the other one is down really low. I really like that he just decided to not use those ones for a better solution, like coming out directly adjacent to it instead of coming down at an angle.
You did it right.
Yeah. So I feel if you get some $6 extension cables, I believe that would make your system just look all around better. And I'm happy that at the very top of the CPU block that he zip tied up the excess cable.
Oh, I'm so happy to see that. Usually people just have that wire
just dangling.
all about and about. I don't know how long that is. If I were to do anything, I would probably route it underneath the RAM and then over on top and then kind of make it tight and just so we can keep it minimalistic. But that's really just fine the way it is.
Yeah, I don't have any complaints about that because doing that is absolutely better than doing nothing at all. That's
exactly just leaving it there.
Yeah,
in your face.
This one is definitely going to be a bit more of an expensive upgrade, but I would say switch out your cooler to possibly one of the new H80i GTs or just a regular H80i. The H60, again, is such a thin radiator and such a low fin density that the cooling isn't really all that much above a Hyper 212.
Yeah.
I mean... you're going to get more stable temperatures, but the temperatures are pretty much kind of going to be approximately the same, more or less. So if you can upgrade your CPU cooler to another closed loop system, preferably with a thicker radiator, I think that would also be a very nice upgrade for this system.
Honestly, one thing that I would pick out is that in the last picture, he added a second graphics card. Preferably a 680, just different branded. I think it's time for an upgrade, buddy. One, the SLI performance of these two cards is pretty substantial. I don't know how much it equates to the modern day or the current generation NVIDIA GPUs, the 900 series. Mm-hmm. I really don't know because are these 2 gigabyte cards or these 4 these 2 gigabyte
680s are 3 to 4 gigs depending on the card you get.
So, I mean, you're really not going to find another 680, especially with the same exact one that you have on top with the blower style. Mm-hmm. So, honestly, I'd recommend upgrading to the latest generation because first off, it's just kind of ugly to see 2 different GPUs in there. Yeah, you're doubling the performance, but you got a window on that PC, and you want to make that PC look beautiful as it was before you added that card in. Did he take out that Wi-Fi card at the top? He did.
I just noticed, if you look at the picture where you see the second graphics card, he did change out one of the fans with a Corsair fan. That's one of those Corsair LED fans. I have one of those in my system.
Oh. Huh.
All right. Well, then just take out the back fan and you'll be good.
So, really, if you have money and you like SLI, go for like two 970s or 980s, maybe a 960s.
Yeah, you could sell your 660s and still get a good buck for them, and upgrade to a more powerful GPU. But this is now getting into the hundreds and hundreds of dollars of upgrades. Of course, you can make them over time. But I feel if you made some of these changes, changed out with cable extensions, changed out your cooler, took out the optical drive bay, very, very, very solid system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I like this system a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this one a 5.
I highly agree.
I'm gonna have to give it a 5.
Good.
This one was done very well.
This is exactly what we want to see in the PC building world. We want to see people at least care about their PCs. We understand that some of you may not use it to its full potential, just use it to browse Facebook or something, or just surf the internet and watch videos. That's fine. I don't really care.
Just put some love into your system. You're spending a lot of money. Be it if it's a lot of money for you or a lot of money for me, you're spending your money on this system for yourself.
Yeah, get as much as you can.
Wouldn't you want it to be the best that you could possibly make it to be? And I just feel like I don't know. Like, I have such a love with my stuff. Like, everything that I have, I've spent hundreds of dollars, hundreds of hours trying to make everything look as best as it possibly can, because it makes me enjoy it better, knowing that if I was to show this to somebody right now, it would be incredible.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I am a big fan of this system.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So that was this episode of Save My Rig. I want to thank you all for coming out and watching and providing us feedback. We do read every single comment. We don't respond to every single comment, just because some of them don't really justify a response. But we're doing our best. We will do our best to answer your guys' questions, interact with you guys. Remember, we do have a Facebook page titled Save My Rig. The link for that is down in the description. And once again, the link for all of these builds is down in the description box. So go ahead, check those out. Check out the parts. Interact with the builders. Do everything you can. And I want you all to have a fabulous day. And have a good one.
Bye, guys.